Drew, we are just over a year since authorities in New York State found the first case of COVID in the state. I'm wondering how we're doing when it comes to vaccine development and vaccine administration, because if we think back to those early months, just a little under a year ago, we heard Dr. Anthony Fauci say that the timeline for getting a vaccine developed would be 12 to 18 months. And here we are 12 months in, roughly, and we got 3 vaccines that have emergency use authorization. Is that a big deal?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if you wanted to grade the United States on how it's performed, you'd probably give them an A+ on vaccines and a C on just about everything else.
Yeah.
Just in terms of if you look at how the U.S. has done compared to other countries that have taken other steps to control the virus, I think it's worth keeping in mind that, vaccines may be the kind of the final way of solving this problem. But there were a lot of other interim steps along the way in terms of public health measures, testing, so on and so forth, all the things we've talked about forever and ever that were certainly not done as well. I think in general, the U.S. tends to prefer, for whatever reason, complex technological, magic bullet solutions to kind of some of the harder, grinded out work that's maybe a lot less sexy, but I think that other countries have shown can be quite effective. For whatever reason, that didn't happen here. The good news is that the U.S. does appear to be proceeding along with its vaccination campaign quite effectively when you look at how it ranks both in the development of the vaccines and then also their rollout. I think by any measure, given the size of the country and how this was done, the U.S. is doing exceedingly well, at least in the rankings that we have on the Bloomberg Vaccine Tracker, in terms of how it compares to other nations.
Based on your reporting, based on reporting on this for a year, crunching the data, how concerned are you about what CDC officials said yesterday about the concern of states easing restrictions too early? Massachusetts, for example, yesterday saying it's going to be easier to grab dinner and see a show, 50% capacity is for shows there. Iowa's governor recently lifted mask requirements and limits on the number of people allowed in bars and restaurants. Is there a concern that we not only have this fatigue of COVID here in the U.S., but we're also starting to see the data decline? We're seeing that in the data, and we're also knowing a lot of people who are getting vaccinated.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting dynamic. One of and there's kind of 2 things you see play out. One, you see some people with the attitude of a vaccine is coming, great, I only have to do this a little bit longer. And that kind of light at the end of the tunnel aspect makes it a lot easier for people to tolerate, some of these restrictive and annoying, we're all sick of this. Let's just acknowledge that this sucks. Social distancing measures and everything like that. Like I would love to go out to a restaurant with my wife more than anything else. Knowing that a vaccine is coming makes that a little bit easier to wait. I think the other attitude you see is cases are down, people are getting vaccinated. Great, I'm going out to a restaurant with my wife. And I think that is what concerns people. That said, both of those attitudes are present, and the waiting does get easier for people who know that this is coming to an end, hopefully.
The biggest stories the moment they happen from around the globe. Subscribe to Bloomberg Quick Take now for insight in an instant.